Back in Chapter 63 of 100 Years Quest, we are introduced to the character Suzaku, and at the time, we really didn't have next to anything. At that point, from Chapter 63 until 67, the most we really had of him was, what, 3 panels or so without actually showing any form of character information. We didn't even get any dialogue at the time. We didn't know a single thing about Suzaku's personality, about anything that would hint towards his backstory, or relatively what he would even do in the story other than just be strong. Because like in Chapter 63, we got a silhouette of him, we got his leg, and then we got a panel of a side view with zero dialogue, like I said, whatsoever for him. One thing we had was that he was one of the Black Dragon Slayer Knights, and that he used a sword. And at the time, him having a sword didn't even equate to him being a swordsman. I mean, look at Rogue. Rogue's had a sword, multiple designs, and the dude's never used a sword. So Suzaku was like, well, could have been another dude from the idea of sword fashion, no swords. But Suzaku, luckily, once we got to Chapter 77, was revealed to be actually taking part in the content of the story, and I was very hyped about that. And since then, Mishima has done a lot with this character, and it's one of the reasons I think that Suzaku is going to be a lasting character. Once we got Suzaku just started to, just talking, just having conversations with people, talking to the Grand Whiteout Priestess and stuff, it immediately gave us information on not only him, his character, but also on Diablos. Because he ended up running into Ferris. It looked like it was gonna be a negative kind of setup, but in reality, it's no. He ended up just kind of coming into the Whiteout Village after the destruction of the Hands of Sumeaka caused, and he was very very polite about it. He's actually a really nice guy, and he seems pretty fair just to converse with. And while he's talking to them, He's polite, respectful. He doesn't have any form of real arrogance to him, despite how powerful he is. The only thing I could really see is when he was underestimating Selene, when he was talking about defeating her won't be a big deal. But that I think was more of just him not understanding the actual gap between him and Selene. He didn't see Selene at full power and be like, yeah, I can take that. It was more of I should be okay. When it's yeah, nobody, you got a ways to go. Either way. While he was talking, he showed that he did care about his guild members. He cared about other people within Diablos. He cared about the rules and just general setup that Georg had, saying how, oh, certain things are, certain things in the guild are set. We got this, and we're going to be able to handle this. And Fairy Tail's going to pay for what they did to members of our guild, hurting people. And I guess if you look at Wraith, you might be able to count it as almost killing off a member from his perspective, because everybody in Diablos would have been able to see and talk to Wraith, and even though he was a ghost, you would be perfectly fine seeing and communicating with him as an actual person. So Suzaku, who had a clear actual liking of people in his guild, I could see him being upset about that. And we did see that afterwards he was yeah, Fairy Tail's going to they're going to get cut down if they get in my way, too. So, even following up from that, once we got to Chapter 80, Suzaku was, furthermore, a pretty chill dude. He was a regular character. He didn't have any form of, crazy antagonist vibes to him. And, the thing about the Diablos Guild I'd been saying for a while is they didn't come off really as evil. When we looked at scenes, you go back and relook at scenes, they weren't, attacking civilians for fun. They weren't doing a lot of, the standard villain things, just being evil with this for the sake of being evil, or showing off, malefic signs, and, wanting to mass murder or cause calamity or anything like that. They really were just dealing with the Dragon Gods and the Fairy Tail Guild, who were getting in the way of their own mission, the same way that Fairy Tail would fight off groups that would get in the way of whatever their objective is. And the Dragon Gods, though Mercephobia was trying to reform, didn't change the fact they have a reputation of them, and their threat level is part of why they're such a problem. And Suzaku further proved that they were actually a not evil, but I'd say kind of more like Fairy Tail, where they're pretty much their own mini faction. They do as they intend to do. You can either be on their side, but don't get against them, or you're probably going to get clapped. Suzaku, though, when he was like interacting with Natsu, he was acting pretty normal. He seemed like a friendly guy. There was nothing about him that came off as some aggressor, and it wasn't until he found out that he was a member of Fairy Tail, and like they were the Fairy Tail like group that he was looking for, that he ended up attacking them. But you gotta keep in mind, he went into that kind of topic and that kind of confrontation with the belief that these were enemies of his guild. So him attacking Urza Natsu isn't something that really would do anything to, you know, stray away from where his character was already set. But since then, he's had mostly his interactions fighting Selene, and Mishima has really done a lot with his character already. Like I've mentioned over the past couple minutes, his personality. He's got like a really nice dude personality. He seems like he'd be a good member of the Fairy Tail Guild if something happens. Well, something did happen to Diablos, but if something happens to the full-scale structure of Diablos and their guild is fully dismantled, rather, that Suzaku would probably come over. But outside of that, like he just seems like a really nice guy. He's got like a full regular personality to him. But Mishima has taken his character and turned that into a tragic tale, because Suzaku went over into Elantir with the belief that he could take down Selene, thought he did. In reality, he just brought Selene right back to Diablos to murder his guildmaster. And though we didn't really know much about Georg, Suzaku did. The people in the guild, from their perspective as characters, did know him, and Suzaku especially would have the most remorse, I would say, out of any of them, because he's the one that clearly has a level of appreciation for his guild, and as well as his guild master, the same way as, like, you know, the Fairy Tail people have towards Makarov. Maybe not like the same level, because Makarov is pretty much their grandpa, whereas like he clearly Suzaku like had a level of respect and appreciation for Georg, and now he's led to his death. Unless Georg gets that reveal, like people are, you know, getting maybe on the speculation of one of his, you know, 4 beast magic is a phoenix and he resurrects, you know, gets rezzed up from this blood puddle that Selene made, then Suzaku is going to have to live with the fact that he led this chick to directly murder his guildmaster. And that's something that I think Mishima has really done well with him, is he's given him, like, he's giving us a protagonist backstory in real time. Like, just generally Suzaku's personality, his position in the story, what's, like, the events that he's kind of had play out, much to his, like, against his, like, his good intentions. It's all turned out so negative for him, and Mishima has really given this character a lot of general input in such a short time, because like I said, he was introduced in 63, but he really didn't do or say anything until chapter 77, and after that point you only get a handful of chapters that he's actually in, but we've already had so much of his personality, his characteristics, and like I said, we have like a really important key character point in his story with Selene and you know, being led over to Diablos. So I can't wait to see where he's going to take this character next. I just really wanted to talk about like the current state of Suzaku, because I was realizing that Mishima has really got some strong material with him and can really do a lot, especially if he like plans to do more with him, and I think he will, just based off of the personality he gave him. The clear like that Mishima has on this character tells me that he's going to stick around. I mean, we even had Selene say like, oh yeah, I'm not going to kill you. So it's like, yeah, clearly Mishima has plans for this character. But anyway, other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video, but friend, like button, subscribe button, check out my other videos. But than that, appreciate it. Already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Bye.